Hey, how much money should you actually have in total by the time you're 20, 30, 40, 50 or 60? In this video, I've looked at the UK data and broken down what a realistic total wealth target looks like. That includes cash savings, investments, pensions, and any other financial assets. First, it's important to understand what wealth actually means, because wealth is not just what you have in your bank account. Someone might have £3,000 in savings and a £20,000 pension pot. Another person might have £15,000 in cash, but no pension or investments at all. Instead of focusing only on savings, we're looking at a total net financial position, with the question of, are you building enough financial security for different stages of your life? If that sounds good to you, subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. And if you watch till the end of this video, please give it a like. And on that note, let's get into it. At 20, your focus should not be on wealth accumulation. It should be on starting the foundations. According to UK household wealth data, many people under 25 have less than £5,000 or £10,000 in total assets. At this stage, your wealth target is not a number, it's a direction. A realistic starting point will probably be like £1,000 emergency buffer, a basic pension started, and first steps into saving or investing. The NatWest Bank shared an article saying that Brits delay their first investment until they're age 34, on average. Even if your total wealth is only a few £1,000s, what matters is that you've started. Because at 20, the most powerful financial asset you have is time, and that is time to build with compound interest. By 30, your financial picture usually starts to expand. You may be renting or buying a home, earning more consistently, or starting a family or career path. You would also be contributing seriously to a pension. In the UK, typical total wealth for people in their 30s, including pension savings and assets, often falls in the range of roughly £30,000 to £100,000, depending heavily on whether you bought a house or your career progression. But this is where it's important not to compare yourself to others. A big part of wealth at this stage is often pension value, not cash. This is because you now have a baseline for how your pension pot will grow over the next 30 years until you're 60. A realistic target for your 30s is 1 to 2 times your annual income, a growing pension pot, and 3 months of your emergency savings as a buffer. As an example, if you earn around £30,000, a total wealth target might be around £30,000 to £60,000. But again, this is a guide. The real goal is consistency, saving regularly, building pension contributions, and avoiding high interest debt. So by 40, wealth starts to become more heavy for people as it has a stronger value. You realise this because time is no longer unlimited. In the UK, many households in their 40s have a total wealth, including pensions and housing equity, in the range of roughly £100,000 to £200,000. At this stage, your wealth pots are more clear and is usually split into these 3 parts: pension, home, and equity. And that's if you own a property. Don't forget your savings and investments. A realistic target in your 40s is around 3 to 5 times your annual income, a strong and growing pension pot, and around 3 to 6 months of your emergency savings. Let's remember, depending on your planning at the age of 20, people can hit their retirement much earlier, and this age could be now, because they were aggressive, which means they could have saved or used their disposable income against compound interest. If you haven't retired just yet, let's continue, because at 40, financial mistakes take longer to recover from. Right, we're now at 50, and your wealth picture becomes much more retirement focused. In the UK, many people in their 50s have a total wealth in the range of £200,000 to £500,000. This is largely driven by savings, pension, potential housing equity. Again, averages hide huge differences. At this stage, the most important question is, will this be enough to support the life I want later? A useful framework is 5 to 8 times your annual income, a growing pension pot, and now a plan for retirement income. You should be looking at what your monthly expenditure looks like with a rough 10-year growth forecast plan, using the annual interest growth factoring in the last 30 years. Because at 50, wealth is no longer just about accumulating. It's about transitioning towards financial independence. By 60, your total wealth becomes your retirement foundation. In the UK, many households aged 60 plus have a total wealth ranging from £500,000 to £700,000. You could also be a millionaire. But this is heavily influenced by property ownership and pension history, along with other investments that you've made since you're 20. Wealth is usually made up of pension income, now including your private, workplace and state pension, any property equity, and your savings and investments included. A realistic planning target is 8 to 12 times your annual retirement spending, a clear understanding of your pension income, and enough accessible savings for emergencies. Because at 60, wealth is not about numbers on paper. It's about lifestyle security. When you look across all the ages, one thing becomes clear. Wealth is not linear. It doesn't grow smoothly year by year, and it builds in layers. Early savings, pension growth, and long-term investing. In the UK, a huge proportion of wealth is usually tied up in pensions and housing, not cash. Two people with the same cash balance can have completely different financial futures, and that's because it depends what their future looks like. If you want a simple way to think about your wealth at any age, use these principles. At 20, you should be starting. At 30, you want to be building. At 40, you want to strengthen. At 50, you want to start preparing. And at 60, you should be using your money. Instead of asking, how much should I have? Plan and work out if you are building enough to support the life in 20, 30 or 40 years' time. Wealth isn't about hitting a number. It's about creating options. And the earlier you start building those options, the more freedom you give your future self. I hope this video has been useful. And on that note, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.